Welcome, everybody, to a special episode of Liberty Lockdown. I've got another guest with me today. It is Rafael LaVerde from Crypto Vigilante, I believe. Welcome in, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yes, it's a Crypto Vigilante, but also our mothership is a Dollar Vigilante, and it's a baby that came out of the Dollar Vigilante, which is the premier libertarian anarcho-capitalist newsletter on the planet. So the Crypto Vigilante was formed to be the anarcho-capitalist counterpart to the Dollar Vigilante.
Well, it's a perfect fit for my audience as an ANCAP, as a hard money, a real money guy, and a crypto fan. This is a perfect fit. So first, I watched one of your videos from last month, and you said that you're a big blocker. So that makes you, haram to all of my Bitcoin maxis out there. I'm just curious, what, other than, the fact that it's more usable, it seems, with the big blocks, what made you decide that that's the path versus the small block Bitcoin route?
Okay, so the way I explain this is that during the Bitcoin Civil War, what we started seeing is 4 different manifestations of the idea of what Bitcoin was about. So, and I divide these 4 manifestations into 2 different camps. So in reality, there's 4 camps. So if you think about it this way, there's 2 camps that are completely logically consistent, and they are manifested in the libertarian philosophies, quote unquote, as the extreme agorist camp, Samuel Edward Konkin III camp, and the camp of Ayn Rand, right, of objectivism. So those are the 2 extreme camps that, in my opinion, are objectively consistent in what their understanding of what Bitcoin was and what Satoshi gave us. In the middle ground, we have a mixture where there's a lot of confusion, and they end up with a very half-assed product. And it is in that confusion that I believe the usurpers and the people that are attacking Bitcoin came in. And what they did is that they created confusion by using libertarian rhetoric to confuse our community so that they can come in and start manipulating the community from within. So let me break down those communities. So at the beginning, Satoshi gave us Bitcoin. There were various different different opinions from the beginning as to what Bitcoin was about. And some people quote different things from Satoshi, and rightfully so. They point out things where Satoshi talks about the importance of fungibility, and for this to, for it to be fungible. And now the question of fungibility revolves around, it's a question that finds an answer in where the dispute resolution resides. So for the extreme anarcho-capitalist, agorist, that person sees fungibility to be deemed to come forth from the free market, from code is law, right? Mm-hmm. The ultimate manifestation of that is the camp that said the Bitcoin protocol, although it's beautiful and we understand what Satoshi wanted, is not enough, and we need to be fungible at the protocol level, private at the protocol level, to achieve privacy. So these people during the Bitcoin Civil Wars started realizing that they needed to start from scratch. And these were the individuals that started the new Satoshi came out, Nicholas von Saberhagen, with a crypto note protocol, which is now manifested in its most beautiful way through Monero and Wownero. Monero, Wownero are the manifestations of the crypto note protocol in their ultimate form. So there are cryptocurrencies that focus on being digital gold and digital cash, and for them to have within them all of the necessary properties for them to be true digital gold, true digital cash. So that's Monero, that's Wownero. Other individuals took the crypto note protocol and have taken that to a step further. And now we have the dawning of the privacy Ethereum, which is Dero, D-E-R-O, which should be launching its mainnet soon. So that's pretty freaking awesome. Dero, D-E-R-O, is, in my opinion, I call it alien technology because it really is. It's something that we've never seen. I've never in my life have experienced a platform that is completely censorship resistant, where entrepreneurs can create whatever they want, where the responsibility falls back on the individual. I'm very excited for Dara. Now, within that train of thoughts, in that experiment for extreme privacy, that agorist desire, Zcash and what is known now as the Electric Coin Company, ECC, out of Colorado, they played around with what is known as zero knowledge proofs, which is at this moment the most state-of-the-art form of cryptography for privacy. The problem with Zcash is that a lot of us saw Zcash as being compromised to some degree. If you see who are the backers and the creators of this technology, like DARPA and like some entities from different governments, it gets pretty sketchy. So the most important part for any technology that is in the world of cryptocurrency or cryptography is that this technology is peer reviewed. So people from the Nakamoto community started playing with this technology of zero knowledge proofs. And they said to themselves, what if we were able to create a cryptocurrency that is 51% attack proof, and at the same time that uses the Z addresses of Zcash by default at the protocol level, no transparent addresses. And so this was the creation of Pirate Chain. So Pirate Chain is like they're competing right now. Pirate Chain, Monero, and Wownero. Wownero is more of a test bed for the Monero community, but it definitely has components to its mining infrastructure that are very new and very revolutionary. So Wownero is something to keep an eye on. So you have Wownero, Monero, that use pretty much the same technology. And then out of this beautiful, purple cow out of nowhere came out, which is Pirate Chain. And it's this incredible platform with an anonymity set of over 500,000. So you're talking about over 500,000 decoys per transaction. That is wild, bro.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And you can scale up to almost like over 1.5 billion.
Wow. But
decoys per transactions.
Do they have limited supply on?
Yeah, they do. Yes, correct. Okay. So they do. Monero has the symptom of its limited supply exists, although it has a tail end emission after 2022. But symptomatically, there is no effect on the limited supply-ness of Monero. So that's something. There's a lot of FUD that has been going around about Monero and its limited supply. But Monero definitely has. Monero does something that BTC, we're going to talk about those in a second, that BTC is just now starting to deal with. So Monero was the first iteration of a true privacy coin with the CryptoNote protocol. And Monero is leading the pack in privacy coins because it is the oldest and it is the most peer reviewed. So again, remember what I said, the most important aspect of cryptography and cryptocurrency, especially when you're talking about privacy coins, is the peer-reviewed aspect of this. It's the open source, it's a free and open source software ethos, right? The FOSS ethos. That is literally the meritocracy that holds our community together, our communities, our networks together. Without that, there's no point of even messing with these technologies if you can't review them for yourself. So
I completely agree.
Yeah, so Pirate Chain got a peer-reviewed audit recently, and no major bugs were found, just little minor things. So, and there are more audits. So it's very beautiful. The Pirate Chain community is very much like punk rock in their way of being. It's almost like they really live to, I'm a medic, and they just don't care. They don't give a fuck. And they trust themselves before they trust anyone else. That's kind of how they think.
Yeah.
Whereas
I've hung out with them, just so you know. I know I've met the founder and a bunch of the people, hung out with them in Miami, and they're all awesome people. So, and I love the R for the ARRR for the whatever it's called. It's just kind of like the vibe. I like the vibe. Anyways.
it's a great vibe, and it's a great mimetic, because the pirate, embodies that idea of complete freedom, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and like extreme mercantilism, right? Extreme
Mm-hmm.
agorism. And that comes down to the topic that I was talking about, dispute resolution, right? Mercantile law was created in the area of, when there was, the time of mercantilism in Europe, where you had merchants disputing things from different nation states. And so maritime law came out from that, right? Mercantile law, I'm sorry, came out from that, where they were able to resolve disputes outside of the nation state jurisdiction. Because
Right.
if you're British and I'm Spaniard and we get into a dispute, well, we're not going to take it to a Spaniard court. We're not going to take it to a British court.
Right.
Obviously, it's going to be weighed in one direction. So the desire is for the language changes in time with crypto. For the Lunarpunk is now what we're calling it. For the agorist, right, in crypto, for the crypto anarchist, if you want to call it, that mindset is one where we need a medium of exchange that is fungible, like Monero, like Wownero, like Pirate Chain, or like Darrow, where we can build systems of dispute resolution that we are already testing within the market. And a good example of that would be Bisq.network, Havano Dex, Agora Desk, Local Monero. These are dispute resolution systems of escrow that are proving themselves to be extremely useful. That if we're able to move these things to the next level, we're going to be able to have competitive dispute resolution systems to that of the nation state. So
I mean, not just competitive, but better, because it would not have any of the the conflicts of a monopoly of violence and all this other bullshit. So, and you also maintain your privacy. I'm thrilled about the prospects for cryptocurrency broadly. I'm very concerned about the just a little background on what I did over the past week is I registered a Web3 address for libertylockdown.eth, and I did it so that I could get cryptocurrency donations from fans of the show. And I could not believe the gas fees I had to pay to fucking register this thing, dude.
It's bullshit.
It was like $40, and it ended up costing me like $280 with gas fees. I mean, it's outrageous. How is this system supposed to work if you have gas fees that are this high? And are they working on getting that down? Do you know anything about that?
I mean, it's we could talk about Ethereum, but Ethereum is dead, man. People just don't realize it.
Yeah.
So the Ethereum is a good example of a Solarpunk initiative. What do I mean by Solarpunk? Solarpunk is the mindset that we deal with the world as is. Now, from a libertarian perspective, people that deal with the world as is and they justify using the world as it is and government as is and corporations as they are, that is the objectivist crowd. That is Ayn Rand, right? You're dealing with the world as is. If you could use the law or government in your favor so you and your business can capitalize, you're going to do that. That's that Randian approach. So that is that. Believe it or not, Bitcoin had a huge, in its inception, had a lot of the war that started within it in the early days was, okay, is Bitcoin supposed to be Lunarpunk or Solarpunk? Is it supposed to be crypto anarchist, or is it supposed to be is it supposed to be something that is for the world as a truth ledger? Is Bitcoin supposed to be a privacy coin, or is Bitcoin supposed to be a truth ledger for the global economy to keep the assholes in power accountable, right? So this is what happened, and I just described the Lunarpunk crypto anarchist version of it, which was the agorist perspective of that was manifested by those who said we have to start from scratch to do this right. Monero, Wownero, Pirate Chain, and Darrow. Now, the beautiful thing about Darrow is that Darrow is going to be the privacy Ethereum. This is the first time that we're going to have a smart contract platform that is anonymous, extremely private by default. This is huge news, man. That's what I mean by alien technology, because we've always talked about the idea of having a decentralized autonomous organization in crypto, like in Ethereum. But in Ethereum, a lot of these initiatives were trite and stupid because Ethereum is a public, transparent surveillance coin. The protocol is not private by default. So you're in a glass house within Ethereum. So if you really want to be really gangster, you don't want to use Ethereum. You want to, if you want to really create something cool that is like completely disruptive as an application for the planet, you're going to look for something that is private by default. And for the first time in crypto history, we have a platform that offers us that, and that is Daro. So guys, keep like, I'm telling you, Daro is a big deal.
Yeah, no, that sounds very interesting. Can you assure me that they will not run into the similar problem with outrageous gas fees to run it?
How about I send you to the horse's mouth, and in the description below, I will give you a link to a presentation that some of the main contributors of the Daro project gave at the last TCV summit, so that you yourself can, you guys can hear from the horse's mouth, because they do address this.
Perfect.
So that's the agorist world that came out of what Satoshi gave us, right? I just described that. Now, the other extreme of what Bitcoin was about, and what is this that, is like heaven sent, this beautiful white paper, what the heck is going on here? The people that said that Bitcoin is not supposed to be a privacy coin, because indeed we always saw it to be pseudonymous. And so for me, it was very obvious after many failed attempts at privacy for Bitcoin. I quickly realized that Bitcoin is not a privacy coin. So what was it that Satoshi gave us? If it's not a privacy coin, what were they thinking? And so I'm like, okay, well, it makes sense that Bitcoin is supposed to be something else. And what the fuck is it, is the question, right? So for us in the libertarian community, it was a struggle. A lot of people that I work with to this day find themselves completely, the guys I work with are all, if you were to put them on, where they fell during the Bitcoin Civil War, they were more on the BTC side. Jeff Berwick and I were the ones that were mostly on the big blocker side of Bitcoin. But when we talk about the thing that the guys and I agree with is that BTC rhetoric that BTC uses for what they want Bitcoin to turn into, that finds its ultimate conclusion, logical conclusion, in everything that I just described: Monero, WowNero, Pirate Chain, and Daro, because you have something that's truly fungible, private by default, something that could truly be digital gold and truly be digital cash. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were to follow the logical argument of BTC or Bitcoin Cash, that's where you would end up in. I want to talk about those in a little while, but there was another camp of big blockers who from the get-go were like, wait a minute. And I felt in that camp, and I didn't even know I was in that camp, because I was in charge of investor relations, meaning I was just bringing people together to conferences and just networking. I was one of the main networkers for the BitAngels network, and I was bringing people together so that they can talk. And something that started bothering me a lot was that I started hearing people talk about creating new blockchains for smart contracts. Creating, for applications for this, a blockchain for this, a blockchain for that. And that really bothered me, because my understanding of Bitcoin from day one was that Bitcoin is a new internet. Bitcoin is not just money. Money is the first application of Bitcoin.
Right.
And it's a money that is, we tried to make it private by default, but we realized quickly it wasn't possible. So it's a money that finds its dispute resolution in the world as it is, meaning dealing with governments as it is, dealing with the world as it is right now. Mm-hmm. So, and also Bitcoin was private enough so for it to be useful for most people, but obviously not private enough for those who truly need privacy, right? Especially if
Right.
you're dealing with a tyrannical regime, you know, in your life. So then the next thing was that we started noticing that a lot of opcodes were being turned off in Bitcoin. A lot of things that gave us the ability to have smart contracts, applications, yeah, a lot of cool things were taken away from Bitcoin. And then we started seeing a reduction in the block sizes as well, which is the ability to transact on chain between miners. As time went on, we started realizing that there was a rhetoric where people were even calling transactions that we made in the free market on chain as spamming the blockchain. So that started getting really creepy. Like, what the fucking, who are you to tell me what a spam is? If
Right.
I and the people I'm doing business with consider this a valid transaction, and if the miner in between considers this a valid transaction, oh, who the fuck are you to tell me what's spamming the network or not? So all right, so then I started realizing that there were some central planners coming in trying to start shit. I'm like, okay. And then I came to the realization that Bitcoin, in its original design, was a truth ledger that Satoshi gave us to compete with big tech. Because in my mind, well, this is what I came to the realization of, that so Team Satoshi was smarter than anyone has ever given them credit, smarter than vast majority of libertarians even realize. Everyone knows that the future of every financial institution on the planet will be a fintech company. It's going to be a tech company. We know the Federal Reserve is dying. We know the International Monetary. We know those guys they're dead. Team Satoshi was not going after them. That's what, if you really understand Bitcoin in its totality, see, we're still thinking about, a lot of libertarians were still thinking about the enemies that we've been having since 1913, right? Since Jekyll Island. That's what us libertarians have been thinking about. Oh, those are the enemies we have to attack. Those are the enemies that have been screwing everything over, the central banks. And they're right. They're not wrong.
Sure.
And a lot of my teammates at the Crypto Vigilante will tell you that that is the most important thing to deal with. And that's why Monero and Pirate Chain are so important. And I agree with them. I think they're completely right. And that is the Lunarpunk mindset. And I'm a Lunarpunk too. So I agree with them 100%. But now, I think
you think Satoshi was taking on the future enemy.
Dude, yeah.
Okay.
I think Team Satoshi was like fucking on it, dude. Beyond what we expected. Because what Team Satoshi saw was a technocratic elite that control everything. The future tyrants of this world are going to be people controlling technology. And we see it right now unfold before our eyes with the jab passes. Now, right now in Argentina, you can't go to an ATM without having the mark of the beast in your hand, right? Like, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Team Satoshi saw this, and Team Satoshi created a new internet where we completely it's the only protocol. Bitcoin in its original design, it's the only protocol on the planet where we can use the miners as the back end of our business and compete with Amazon and Google and Facebook and Twitter and Comcast and all the ISPs, because we don't need them anymore.
Right.
The Bitcoin mining industry in itself allows us to not even need money from venture capital, because all you need is to create a front end, use the Bitcoin miners as the back end of your business, and you're rocking and rolling, dude. You're just fucking competing with them right now in real time. And
that's
so
fascinating.
To me, that was when I realized that shit, man, I fell in love with Bitcoin so hard, bro. and then all of a sudden, dude, there's this I'm at the Satoshi Vision conference right after the Civil War, the first Civil War, August 2020, August 2017. And we had the Satoshi Vision Conference right after in Tokyo. And all the big blockers were there, like, and there were a bunch of anarchists. Chris Passia was on stage. And we were like the united big blockers, right? And fucking anarchy this, anarchy that. We're going to, and so there was like this anarchist. It was the extreme anarchists of Bitcoin that stayed with Bitcoin. And then there was the objectivist crew that stayed with Bitcoin because they saw Bitcoin as a truth machine, a global ledger of truth to keep the assholes accountable, right? The new internet, right? That objectivist worldview. By then, the anarcho-capitalist, the agorist mindset in Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash at the time was starting to lose appeal for a lot of true like anarcho-capitalists and crypto anarchists, because we already had Monero in 2014 came out. And so since Monero was already there, people were like you're not truly digital gold BTC. I'm sorry, you're lying. And Bitcoin Cash, you're trying to be digital cash, but you're not truly digital cash. You can't be. You're not private by default. So the Monero was already existing, and so it was kind of like they were already losing appeal. And so the big blocker crowd in Tokyo, Japan, found themselves like kind of in an impasse, because all of a sudden we saw a crew within the people that were using the anarcho-capitalist rhetoric, the same rhetoric that led to BTC, that behind the BTC movement of we need everyone to have their own little Raspberry Pi, which is their own little window into the blockchain, your own do-it-yourself block explorer, so you can look into the blockchain for yourself to verify things. Although it's not a miner, it can't process or extend the ledger, which wouldn't serve you to protect the ledger at all because you're not a miner. They sold that idea that you needed a do-it-yourself block explorer at home under the pretense of decentralization to justify central planners. That's what happened in BTC. So, if you want to get all conspiratorial, the guy that led if you look into like who led BTC into what BTC is now, yeah, you start falling into, literally you get to MIT Digital Initiative, then you get into the Digital Currency Group, and behind that you find yourself with MasterCard, Bilderberg, and Jeffrey Epstein, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
I've read that too, and I mean that's obviously very disconcerting, given that like we're trying to have this technology to get us away from those types of people. But
right,
I mean,
all of a sudden we have Jack Dorsey on stage in Miami at the Bitcoin 21 conference, and we're like, what the fuck is going on here? Wasn't this guy just like censoring everyone that didn't agree with him? Like,
I had a tweet that went viral when he tweeted out the Anatomy of the State by Rothbard, and I responded, hey, now that you've read it, can you stop banning us so we can fucking do something about it? And yeah, he didn't stop banning us, and he stepped down, and the guy who replaced him is even worse. And it's just like it's so frustrating, because I've lamented this fact for a long time, is that a lot of the people that have made big money in the crypto space seem to have lost their way. And I would include Dorsey in that. I mean, even though he's more.
I don't think they lost their way, bro. And I'll tell you, because I was there and I got to know a lot of these people.
Okay, lay it on me.
They just didn't know. They never understood Austrian economics. Okay. I know people, and I'm not going to name them, they're very, very influential in early Bitcoin, and you would think that they understand Austrian economics and praxeology, but they're really, oh yeah, I got the books in the shelf, but I've never read them. Like,
right.
I'm quoting you someone right now. So that's the problem. We thought that Bitcoin was in good hands, a lot of us. And we kind of deferred responsibility because for some reason, we're indoctrinated not to think highly of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And if you don't think highly of yourself, you're literally not being a good libertarian. If you're watching this, if you're second guessing yourself, then you're not really, you're not being a real good libertarian. You really should think highly of yourself if you're watching this, seriously, because you can make the difference.
I agree.
And so
it requires confidence.
100%. because these assholes, see, people that want power and influence, they tend to be people that are narcissistic, and they'll play the role. A lot of people play the role. And so what happened with the PSYOP in all of the whole Bitcoin history was that they used libertarian rhetoric against us.
Yep. And
you get a lot of people in our libertarian networks confused to this day. So if you really want what what BTC is offering, or what Bitcoin Cash is offering, and then you should be looking at Monero, Pirate Chain, Darrow, or Wownero. That's what you should be looking at. That's true digital gold and true digital cash.
Yeah.
And if you tell someone,
I was just going to say, any libertarian who's not interested in privacy, I don't think is thinking deeply enough. Like, honestly, because it's so obvious the tyrannical, globalist, totalitarian plans that we exist under. And if you're thinking that you're going to be able to get away with subverting the state without privacy, you're fucking delusional. Like, that's my honest opinion. So
yeah, you need privacy, but one very important thing, brother, we need capitalism. This is what happens. This is the bait and switch. Okay, you have to be very careful. In Bitcoin, what happened is that they would say the same thing that you said. We need privacy, therefore we need central planners. Or the classical example is a new egalitarianism, which is called decentralization. And decentralization in the vast majority of cryptocurrencies is a pretense for having central planners, a central planning group of devs. Yeah, brother. And look in every cryptocurrency on the planet, but one where there's literally central planners, dude.
So which is the one without a central planning? I gotta know.
We'll get to that. That's what I'm getting to. So Satoshi, what I realized, if you take Bitcoin in its complete original design, Satoshi did not give us a privacy coin. Okay, look, so remember what I mentioned earlier, that the privacy coins are like the ultimate manifestation of cryptography, right? Monero, Wownero, Darrow, because now we have a financial incentive to better these networks for ourselves and for others within the network. So the peer-reviewed audit process is extremely important. Without the free and open source software ethos, which is a meritocracy in and of itself, we don't have shit, right? So that is the meritocracy of the cypherpunk crypto anarchists, peer-reviewed audits. Without peer-reviewed audits, we don't have shit in Monero, Wownero, Pirate Chain, Darrow. Satoshi gave us another meritocracy, which included the free and open source software ethos. But this is what was truly revolutionary in what Satoshi gave us. And no one has been able to copy paste this. And no one's ever going to be able to copy paste this again. And this is the meritocracy that is most misunderstood in all of crypto. And its proper name is the Nakamoto Consensus. Without the Nakamoto Consensus, you don't have Bitcoin. What is the Nakamoto Consensus? The Nakamoto Consensus is a capitalist meritocracy of miners, of proof of work, that are constantly competing with one another in better securing the network, where you as a miner get paid for finding mistakes in your peers, where you as a miner are incentivized to protect the network, where you as a miner have the most to lose out of all investors in the network. Because if you hold the coin and something happens in the market, you can pivot to something else, right? You can sell your coin. You can sell your coin, short it, whatever. If you have a company, you can just pivot to something else in fintech. But if you own mining equipment, because Bitcoin was designed to scale. Unlike what the vast majority in crypto people would tell you, Bitcoin was designed to scale in its original design. what happened is that I honestly think that Silicon Valley and big tech got scared and they attacked Bitcoin in its original design because they saw it as the biggest threat to their existence. And that's what I was talking to you about earlier. So Bitcoin was created as a capitalist meritocracy of miners that are meant to scale. It is in this capitalist meritocracy where we find extreme capitalism. So in privacy coins, everything we talked about, Monero, Pirate Chain, Daro, the meritocracy is the false ethos. And it focuses on extreme privacy. It emphasizes protecting the individual. So how about we look at those as weapons that are defensive? They're shields, right? They're covering you from tyranny, right? Satoshi gave us an offensive weapon, a sword of extreme capitalism that deals with the world as is and attacks them in the light. And it aligns financial incentives in ways that are not found anywhere else in crypto. It aligns financial incentives in a way where we make nation states compete with us and for different jurisdictions to compete for our business. It competes against big tech. There's no other solution in all of crypto that competes with big tech. Nothing out there at all that competes with big tech like Bitcoin's original design. There is nothing that competes with Silicon Valley. Satoshi thought about all these things where you can create a startup with your buddies and use the Bitcoin miners as the back end of your business, and you're plugged into a complete extreme capitalist new internet where you control your own data, and every little data packet that is sent in this new internet called Bitcoin, every little data packet that is sent and received is a tiny micro transaction or nano transaction. So Satoshi gave us an economic, I see it as an augmentation of praxeology of Austrian economics that allows us to enter into peer-to-peer relationship with one another. But the engine of this is a capitalist meritocracy of mining. It's the discovery of proof of work, really, that Satoshi gave us. And it couldn't happen. See, they're mutually exclusive, guys. This is something very important I'll mention here. You can't have a privacy coin that has extreme capitalism. It's mutually exclusive. Why is that? Because if you want to be money for the world, and if you want to be a global ledger for the world, like Bitcoin in its original design is, then you are opening the doors for everyone to be your potential customer, for the communists to be your potential customer, for every nation state to be your potential customer, for the Muslim, for the Hindu, for all types of people, right? And capitalism rules the world because, look, everyone has a cell phone, right? Capitalism has won over network effects. No matter what creed you have, no matter what political ideology, capitalism and through technology has led you to use this beautiful thing, right? So it's in that mindset that Bitcoin was created. It's a global ledger of truth for everyone. And so now for the privacy coin, see, the privacy coin, like Monero, like Daro, and like Pirate Chain, they can't open the door just to everyone in the planet to come in and be part of their crypto governance. Because then what you will have is that now the communists will come in, like Stalinists. No, we need to see your transactions. We need to have a back door to know what you're doing. So it necessitates that there be a community, what we call in the old days, we used to call the web of trust. There needs to be a what, W-O-T, in these privacy networks of libertarian agorists that watch out after one another and that review the code. Remember, that meritocracy for the privacy coin is the false ethos. Whereas for Bitcoin and what Satoshi gave us, we don't need that, because you're in its original design. Bitcoin is not a protocol you tinker with. It's perfect as it is. And you don't need to remove anything like BTC did or Bitcoin Cash did, kept on doing and then added to. No, you the protocol, the rules of the game, you keep them as is, and you realize that it's supposed to work in this way because it has the most, in my opinion, the most ultimate use case, which is to outcompete big tech, the true fucking dictators of this planet now. It's not a nation state. A government, the true dictators of this planet are technocrats. Yeah. And so when you have a fixed protocol that is stable and cannot be changed or tinkered with under the pretense of good libertarian rhetoric, like we need privacy, we need decentralization. No. Fuck that. No, we need to have a stable playing field for everyone. Don't fuck with the protocol. And then miners are in charge, not developers, because it's miners who are incentivized to protect the network and have the most to lose. And then programmers and developers, what they do is that they serve as creating applications to form this on-chain economy or they would work for a mining company that makes it easier for entrepreneurs to build applications and whatever they want on chain. Because Bitcoin in its original design was not meant to be the bitch of the establishment, people. It's not like we care we never cared. See, this is a thing, man, is that Bitcoin's original design is extremely fucking punk rock, and it's not a privacy coin. Bitcoin in its original design, it's a machine of extreme capitalism. Fuck Elon Musk, fuck Jack Dorsey, fuck Amazon, Google, Facebook, all of big tech, all of Silicon Valley. Bitcoin never needed those motherfuckers at all, and we never wanted them. So now we understand what the fuck they were trying to do by creating a crippled version of Bitcoin. Oh, no. Developers need to be in charge. Of course, they brought in their own, right? It needs to be capped. Miners are not the owners of this club. They're the bouncers of the club. And fuck the miners, fuck the blockchain. We'll build a second layer under the pretense of, anarcho-capitalist rhetoric, under the pretense of decentralization, which is nothing more than a communist word for a new egalitarianism. That's all it really is. But they fucked up big time, because true decentralization it's truly given to the people of this world by Satoshi through market forces. True decentralization is given, it has to be market driven. It can't be centrally planned. Who the fuck are you to be a central planner for the sake of decentralization? Right? That makes no sense, dude. Right? Has there been a time in BTC history when the Bitcoin BTC core devs lost an argument? No, there has not been. They are the designated central planners by big tech, by Silicon Valley. And if you don't believe me, just follow the money, baby. Yeah. So that's really what happened. And so Bitcoin in its original design, people thought that, this is how fucking naive people are, man. People think that the BTC version of Bitcoin is like, it's exactly what we expected. Bitcoin was going to be embraced by the world, right? By all the megalomaniacs. They're going to be like, come to daddy, come home. Elon Musk, come here. Let me burp you Bitcoin. Jack Dorsey is cheering you on. No, those motherfuckers are happy because they finally did what they fucking wanted, was to cripple Bitcoin, create a bitch version of Bitcoin that is addicted to the meth of institutional money from assholes from Wall Street like Michael Saylor. And then they're like, yeah, we got you. And oh yeah, have fun staying poor. Fuck you and your fiat, man. Like here's the thing, man. Adam Smith taught us that money is not wealth. True wealth are capital goods. consumer goods. A pair of scissors is wealth, bro, that you can cut hair, you know? Right. That's wealth. Satoshi gave us real wealth. So this whole bullshit of number go up, yeah, man, it might sound great if you have a very high time preference. But if you really want to change the world, dude, you got to realize that Satoshi gave us a machine of extreme capitalism, of true wealth, where you can create a fucking startup right now on Bitcoin's original design and compete with big tech. And everyone in your network that you create, they're the owners of their own data. And if they don't like your fucking interface into the new internet called Bitcoin, they can say, fuck you, take their network with them and go to another application that competes within this new internet called Bitcoin. It's so fucking beautiful in its design that entrepreneurs leverage off one another's success. So if you're successful in Bitcoin's original design with your application, I'm successful. And you're using the same unit of account. You don't have this bullshit token economy like in Ethereum, where you're trading your chicken coin for someone's bread coin, right? That's fucking ridiculous. Who the fuck thought about Ethereum or EOS? Those guys are fucking retarded. Dan Laramir, you're fucking retarded. Vitalik, you're fucking retarded, dude. Where the fuck did you learn economics, man? That you're going to tell me that you're going to trade your chicken coin for your bread coin and that we're going to compete for space within the same fucking network? And if I win in competing for space with, let's say, crypto kitties, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to fucking drown the whole network? Like, do you not, like, you're a fucking developer. You should know how fucking network topologies work. And you realize that the incentives are not aligned in your networks. But guess what Satoshi did? Satoshi gave us a system where incentives are aligned, where you actually have the ability to leverage off one another's success, where you're using one medium of account for a medium of exchange. Bitcoin is beautiful, guys. Like, this was fucking crazy, Clint, is that most people don't even realize the magnificence of fucking Bitcoin. And drum roll, what the fuck is Bitcoin's original design? Is BSV, people. The most hated and attacked crypto fucking currency on the planet. And why the fuck do you think it's the most hated and attacked cryptocurrency on the planet? Wake up, motherfuckers. It's because it's Bitcoin's original design. It's because it threatens the establishment. It's because it threatens big tech. It threatens Silicon Valley. It's what scares them the fucking most. And you've been psyop. You're their little bitch and you don't know it. I'm sorry. You don't know it. And if you really like BTC, then be logically consistent and buy yourself some Monero or Pirate Chain. If you really like Bitcoin Cash, do the same, because neither BTC is digital gold or Bitcoin Cash is digital cash. Bitcoin is a new internet. Bitcoin is a global ledger of truth to keep the assholes accountable, and a machine of extreme capitalism where this is fucking amazing. You know, there's one thing that big tech cannot do that we can do. And this is why it scares the shit out of them, bro. We can wrap big data with proof of work, bro. They can't do that shit. And it scares them, bro. Like, we have, dude, we have the most fucking amazing machine of extreme capitalism that Satoshi gave us. And these motherfuckers came in very cunningly into Bitcoin, and they started dividing the community up with this libertarian rhetoric, which is I'm libertarian, but they were confusing people to get rid of Bitcoin's original design. So what they did is that they did this. They split. I bet these motherfuckers were all in the boardroom saying, this is what we're going to do. This is Bitcoin. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, fuck the bit, and we're just going to make them focus on the coin. Yeah. Digital gold, digital cash. Fuck Bitcoin's computational power. We're just going to focus on digital gold, digital cash, because we're libertarian. We're going to tell them we're libertarian. And Jack Dorsey is going to quote Rothbard. Yeah. And focus on the coin aspect. People, libertarians that were truly fucking sincere and logically consistent said, you know what, you're right. We do need true digital gold and true digital cash. And that's why now we have Monero, Wanero, Dero, and Pirate Chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, dude, Bitcoin is such a beautiful design, bro. So I just broke down the 4 camps for you. Long story. I kept it brief, man. Just for you. I kept it brief, man.
I think this is the least I've talked on an episode, but I enjoyed it all the same. No, that was fascinating, man. And I love the passion. I love when I see someone who can actually, like, even though you're a libertarian, you can actually artfully explain things, because so often you get like the you described the what's his name, the Ethereum creator Vitalik. He's so autistic. There's just no emotion, and you definitely don't lack any emotion. So it's great to see. So go ahead and tell me. I mean, is BSV the one that you were talking about? That's
yeah,
actually,
man, 100%. And fuck, I'll
and
debate
do you
anyone.
think, just for
by the way, disclaimer, my team does not agree with me, okay?
Yeah, no, that's
my
fine.
team, like the crypto, this is a beautiful thing about the crypto vigilante, right? When we started this, Jeff Berwick was more on the Bitcoin at the time. Jeff Berwick was more, we were both big blockers, right? Because we were like, fuck, what's going on? And Jeff, he used to go to Bilderberg every year to protest with Luke Radowski. And he's like, fuck, Raph, yeah, look. And he had a meeting with, an interview with Luke, and he broke everything down about how, who funded Blockstream and all that. And it was obviously, this was a orchestrated fucking, it's a mess, bro, what happened in BTC. But anyways.
Well,
we were on the same page, right? 1 second. Jeff and I were on the same page, but he wanted to focus on the digital gold, true digital gold, true digital cash. And so I'm like, okay, cool. But at the same time, I was always thinking like, but Bitcoin's not private by default. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. And so I'm like, all right, Jeff, we're going to do this. But we're going to do this shit right. So I brought in the team, like the guys are all hooded and stuff. Those Mr. X, Mr. A, Mr. W, Mr. P, Mr. Z. All those guys, they are logically consistent, and they also are all for digital gold, digital cash, but they're privacy like extremists, like real fucking anarcho-capitalists. And so right away it was like, we realized like, okay, what Bitcoin Cash wants to be and what BTC want to be, it's truly Monero, it's truly pirate chain. So then it was like, well, yeah, well then fuck BTC, fuck Bitcoin Cash. I mean, we'll have them in our portfolio because obviously there's still movers and shakers within the space. But from a fundamental analysis perspective, they're not logically consistent. And what logically consistent is Monero and pirate chain for that desire. But yeah, so that's where the vast majority of the team at the Crypto Vigilante, that's their focus. I'm the only, you would call Solarpunk of the group, right? They're all lunar punks. And I'm quoting Amir Taki, right? Our dear Amir. He's the one that, like, I guess dubbed this term. I've never heard. Yeah, he coined this term of Solarpunk, Lunarpunk. Well, they're lunar punks all the way. I embrace both, and I always talk about embracing light and darkness. So yeah, it fits the mold, right? Yeah. Lunar punk, cypherpunk. I think we need like defensive shields of privacy, but I also think we need swords, right? Offensive weapons, right? And so that's what Bitcoin, that's what Satoshi gave us.
Yeah, well, unless your shield has 100% success rate in defense, then it's eventually not going to be enough. You're going to also need a sword. So I agree. I mean, you need both, especially when you've been aggressed upon, and we have. So I am not a pacifist. I am, but I am still very much not interested in violence. I just want to have tools to defend myself, and I think that this is important. I've had on Kurt Walker Jr. months ago, and he's a big BSV guy as well, and he had swayed me on this to some extent, that BSV does sound as if it has true merit. I went out and bought a bunch of it. So
let me tell you about Kurt.
I'm riding with you.
I know there's a lot of people out there that'll talk shit about Kurt, and they'll say, "Oh, he's just getting paid because he's a historian on CoinGeek." No, dude, Kurt made the same freaking journey that I did, and I was there to see it. Kurt was even a Monero miner. Kurt was, he was part of this whole same saga that I went through, and Kurt is an honest scholar, and yeah, he's a badass dude.
Yeah,
and he's got the balls to say things that most people don't have the balls to say. And kudos to him.
That's what I'm looking for all the time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask though, is it strictly the fact that Bitcoin was co-opted by big banks, big capital, Rothschild fund or whatever, that the number go up technology got so strong that it basically broke people of their principles, and they just went along with it because it appears to be the most successful because of the price tag on it? Like, is it as simple as that, or what do you think?
It's very nefarious, bro. What happened? So what happened was very nefarious because people don't listen to you. I'm telling you from someone that is part, with my co-founders run a newsletter, right? People don't give a fuck about Austrian economics, even you libertarians. They're not going to read Rothbard, or they're not going to read Mises. No, they only listen to you when you show them, hey man, look, this is, if you follow Austrian economics, look how profitable it is.
Right.
That's when they listen to you. Unfortunately, that's just human nature.
Yeah.
So what they did was that they created, so mining incentives. We, in the early days of Bitcoin, we always talked about the golden age of mining. What is the golden age of mining? The golden age of mining was the day when miners will accrue more money from transaction fees than they do from the block reward subsidy. And notice that I called it a subsidy. It's a subsidy that Satoshi gave us to jumpstart this machine of extreme capitalism. Okay, what happened was that it was very cunning and very fucking deceitful, but a self-professed Fed by the name of John Dillion was the person on the Bitcoin Talk forums who started promoting and getting core devs to start pushing this narrative of lowering the block size, and just not lowering it, but keeping it at 1 megabyte. And very cunningly, see, this shit was like, dude, it's almost like you look back and it's like these motherfuckers thought it through. Like, this was an orchestrated it was like a military operation, really, dude, in attacking Bitcoin. It really was, dude. Yeah. So what they did was that they created this auctioning process called replace by fee, RBF, replace by fee, which is an auctioning process that happens in BTC every time transactions go on the mempool. So before you get onto the next block, someone else can come behind you that was to the bus stop per se and tell the bus drivers, hey, I'll pay you more. Get me onto this bus. And oh, since it's a small bus, it only can fit this amount of people, 7 transactions per second. So yeah, okay, we'll get you in, because unless you could pay more, it's an auctioning process beyond the blockchain. Whereas Bitcoin, has always been first come, first serve, right? Like, once you're on the energy has been spent. That's the whole point of proof of work. Energy has been spent. So once energy is spent, that the miners telling the world is that they know that their shit is so fucking awesome that it's going to be more valuable in the future than it was in the past. That's why they freely spent energy. So in spending energy, that energy that has been spent guarantees for me through economic incentives that my transaction will be picked up on the next block. So the mempool is, once you're in the mempool, it's, consider it done, man. Plus you have the chain of digital signatures, section 2 of the white paper, which is like, once you're in there, you're good as gold. It's already, you're ready to get going. And your transaction gets picked up right away in the next block of time. And in Bitcoin's original design, you're supposed to pick up the whole, whatever's on the mempool, and clear the whole mempool out. The bus station is completely cleared out. All transactions get picked up. So they didn't do that. They didn't want to do that because they wanted to keep Bitcoin dependent on the block reward subsidy. Why? This was very nefarious. They did not want Bitcoin to grow an on-chain economy, because remember, that's what scares them. Because if the moment so in other words, you crippled the miners, miners are told what to do. So miners are crippled at 1 megabyte. Plus SegWit, which gives them 4, technically speaking, 4 megabytes. You crippled them. And then what happens is that you create a auctioning process to justify higher transaction fees, so that they can still reach a quote unquote golden age of mining in the future. But that only means that you're to be paying extremely high transaction fees, because the block reward subsidy goes down over time, right? It halves every 4 years. So that was the whole purpose of replaced by fees, to keep giving people the illusion that we will still have a golden age of mining in BTC. But in Bitcoin's original design, transaction fees run in parallel with transaction throughput. So it was nefarious, because then what they did, the next step of their plan was to introduce institutional money to flood BTC with investment, push the price up, and now you have now you have a zombie network of miners that are, it's almost like they forgot. It's sometimes it's similar to how people, like, once the government takes over a sector, people within that country forget that the free market used to take care of that for them,
right? Right,
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So
like healthcare,
like health, anything.
Yeah.
So now you have the miners are like in BTC are like these zombies that are just like, number go up, please, number go up, and put more money in. And if Elon Musk says, oh, you guys are not green enough, right away they all bow down. No, yes, sir, we will be more green for you, and we will do whatever you want. We're your bitch 100%. And so that's really what BTC miners are. I'm a Bitcoin miner. I'm not a BTC miner, by the way. So
I got you.
Yeah, man. So all of a sudden you have, it's a process of disincentives where they become, they don't grow from within themselves. The miners don't grow from within themselves, and they don't get to fortify themselves as a business, as an industry, because they don't have a direct feedback loop into what the market wants and needs from entrepreneurs and people that want to use the blockchain. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So then once you crippled the miners, you have these guys that are just only transacting 7 transactions per second in a network that is just infected and affected by big tech and money from Wall Street and legacy finance. And these miners are just, they're bitch now. They're just zombies, man. They're just
that's a compelling argument. I need to.
It's fucked up, man.
Yeah, I need to ask the counterpoint, because I've had on some other BTC maxis, and they say that BSV got essentially hacked. Was it a couple months ago? And that kind of
no, that's bullshit. This is bullshit, dude. Let me tell you why.
Yeah,
from the get-go, from the beginning. Okay, over 75%, over 70 times in the Bitcoin white paper, Satoshi uses the word honest. Honesty, honest nodes, honest proof of work, honest. What the fuck does honest mean? In the early days, we would always have this question of like, what if a nation state spun up a bunch of computers and 51% attacked Bitcoin? Bitcoin was tiny. And we were like, oh shit, what do we do? Does that mean anyone can just 51% attack us? Like Amazon could just turn on a bunch of servers and 51% attack Bitcoin in the early days, right? Like that. Sure. Then what the fuck are you talking about? Well, this is not a secure network. No, it is, and it has always been secure because Bitcoin is based on honest nodes. So anytime a node is not honest, miners can reorganize the chain, reorg the chain back into the honest chain of digital signatures. So no matter how tiny the miners are in their network, those that attack the network, even if they do have more hash power, they get orphaned. And so anyone that see Bitcoin's original design is so beautiful, because anytime Bitcoin's attacked, Bitcoin in its original design can orphan them, and you're committing suicide. If you attack Bitcoin's in its original design, you're committing suicide as a miner. So I was having a conversation with Fluffy Pony about this, and he's like, oh yeah, well, there's always an incentive for someone to attack the network as a miner. It's always going to be suicide. Every time you attack Bitcoin, you're going to kill yourself as a miner. You might think you got away with it for like 5 minutes, but you just reorg the chain. So yeah, that's it. That's not.
So has BSV recovered from that?
Dude, it didn't even. It was unscathed, man. Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Well,
BSV is extremely attacked. Look, it's the most delisted cryptocurrency on the planet. You'd think it would be a privacy coin like Monero, right?
Right.
Delisted, like completely harassed. It's ridiculous, dude. But it's okay because BSV is going the way that now that I understand Bitcoin in its totality and its original design, it's exactly what you would expect. It is the biggest threat to the establishment worldwide. And so it shouldn't be received with open arms. Come here, right. Elon Musk, fucking Jack Dorsey. No, dude,
no,
Bitcoin should be attacked.
It should be hated. Yeah.
Bitcoin is hated. BSV is hated because it is Bitcoin's original design. Yes.
And
it's more hated than a privacy coin. Figure that one out.
Yeah, that's fascinating, actually. So do you think that 4, 5, 6 years from now, BSV is on par in terms of fiat exchange rates when it comes to, well, even if we have fiat at that point, I don't even know if we will, but to, BTC versus BSV, like, do you think that that people will see the light eventually, or is this just kind of going to be an eternal battle?
Look, I'm not the best person to ask about timing things like this. After we did a whole year of worth of research on Pirate Chain, we put out a treatise that was over 79 pages long, and talking about the history of privacy coins that led up to zero knowledge proof, and by default, as seen in Pirate Chain. And I thought Pirate Chain was going to remain under $1 for the rest of 2021, and that thing shot up to $16. Yeah. Right. I mean, I think that speaks more to the state of the world and how people realize how much we need privacy as things are threatening to become more tyrannical. So there's no way for me to give you an estimate exactly when that'll be, because it could happen next week, because the Silicon Valley cartel pretty much runs the crypto industry in terms of like big exchanges and so see, I always hated fucking exchanges, man. I always hated, and I never understood. I understood why. So I had my agorist, anarcho-capitalist reason for hating them, and I'm like, fuck this. It's P2P. It's not KYC third party to P. It's P2P, guys. Get it straight. So, but then I realized that there was even a bigger component to it, which is that KYC exchanges are the kingmakers in trying to keep Bitcoin down. So, what's interesting is that when Blockstream was sourcing capital or pretending to source capital, I was one of the guys that got a phone call when I was with the Bit Angels, and they gave me the pitch, and they told me that they wanted to source capital for this thing called Blockstream, because they're going to create this thing called side chains, and that side chains were going to be the way by which we have market-driven scaling, where everyone's going to be able to create their own Bitcoin side chain, and whatever the market realizes is best for the chain, that's how we would all just migrate to that chain, So I thought it was a really cool idea. So what Blockstream ended up doing was a bait and switch tactic, and what Liquid ended up becoming was a proof of stake voting system for exchanges. So literally, they just created a mechanism to give financial institutions more power over the crypto space. That's fucked up. And so then later on, after the second Bitcoin civil war with Bitcoin Cash checkpointed onto exchanges. So the only true checkpoint that you should have in Bitcoin is called the Genesis block of Bitcoin, the first block of time, right? And they Bitcoin Cash checkpointed onto exchanges, and that was the giveaway for me. And I'm like, fuck Bitcoin Cash at the time. I was like, no, BSV is where it's at, because the only checkpoint we have is the Genesis block And it's the one that is truly embracing the completeness of Bitcoin in its computational power. So there's a big issue in Bitcoin Cash that it can't compete with BSV because Bitcoin Cash, they unfortunately they adopted that rhetoric that well, two things, that you can't create applications on chain because that's considered spamming the blockchain. Like, dude, again, who the fuck are you to tell me what spamming the blockchain is? If I go into business with you and we send a transaction, I sent you a picture and you paid for the picture.
It's like critiquing how someone spends their money.
Yeah.
It's none of your fucking business.
Exactly. They just want to tame miners again, you know?
Right.
So that's one thing. They wanted to tame the miners. And then the other thing was that they kept the illusion alive that Bitcoin Cash was going to be a privacy coin. And I knew that was bullshit. You know, Bitcoin can't never be a privacy coin. No Bitcoin protocol can be a privacy coin. This whole BS about the Lightning Network is the reason for privacy coins is bullshit. Chain analytics, just Chain Analysis, I think is the name of the company. They just put out a report as to how it's completely open and transparent. And I've been saying this, like with this, I covered the Lightning Network at least. I was doing it like every business quarter, but now it's like the same story. So I do it like twice a year now. But I'm pick it up again. I'll cover it more often. But yeah, the Lightning Network, dude, is it only functions through centralized liquidity. The only way that you can route Lightning transactions is by having a central planner oversee where the transactions are going. So the Lightning hubs that are used within these quote unquote successful Lightning applications are just companies that are centralized that route the transactions for the people. So the Lightning Network is not decentralized. Like, don't fucking believe that. It's a fucking lie. Whoever's lying to you is a piece of shit that should know better. Like, it really is, dude. The Lightning Network is also not private because, you know, the Lightning Network tries to imitate the infrastructure of scaling Bitcoin akin to that of the legacy internet, as if we need to recreate that piece of shit, right? The ISP model. Like, are you kidding me? Literally, that's their argument. We need to recreate the fucking ISP model. That's literally their fucking argument. and so, like, literally, that's their fucking approach, right? And so they want to when the Lightning Network in the internet, we have this thing where people can Sybil attack, right? They can intercept communication, right? That's why we use encryption and VPNs, right? So in the Lightning Network, they want to do the same, but you're not just transmitting information. You're transmitting what could be redeemed for BTC. See, in the Lightning Network, I don't call it moving BTC around. In my opinion, I know they're moving simulation BTC because the BTC is on chain, stored away in a smart contract, right? It's in a wallet. They're trading when they open the channel. It stays there.
Sure.
When they close a channel, they go back. That money is retrieved on chain. A BTC transaction is only a transaction that extends the ledger. Otherwise, it's not a BTC transaction. So, you know, they have a counter argument that I can just give you my private key, and that oh, I just gave you BTC. Well, effectively it did, but it wasn't a BTC transaction. It did not extend the ledger. You transferred keys. That's probably all you did. But okay, I digress. But the thing is that so you open yourself up to a bunch of Sybil attacks on Lightning Network because you really can't. You're not just transmitting information as in the internet, but you're transmitting money, right? Or at least the simulation of BTC. So of course people are going to want to fucking hack you. So then they talk about how they want to create it through Tor. We can route transactions and make it anonymous. And no, you can't, because it is exactly through the anonymous routing of the Lightning Network that someone would Sybil attack you, because then you can't hold them accountable. So it's a big mess, dude. The Lightning Network is a big mess, but it was perfectly designed by Silicon Valley and big tech to take people's eye away from the prize. So I'm just really happy that BSV exists. it's the most rugged community in all of crypto because it is the most seasoned at hash war. It's I like it a lot, dude. It's funny, man, because people that I work with literally feel like they need to take a shower when they talk about it. Hey, I don't think BSV is good for business right now because it's so attacked. Right. But I can't lie to myself and I can't lie to my subscribers about what Bitcoin is in its totality. And sure. I would be committing intellectual suicide if I were not telling you guys the truth about things the way I see them. Could I be wrong? 100% I could be wrong. And that's why at the Crypto Vigilante, all the other analysts they have a completely different perspective on BSV than I do. Of course. And I respect that because you're supposed to have dialogue, right? It's more, but all of a sudden,
that's the whole purpose of my show, man, is to have dialogue with people that are passionate and telling their truth, whether or not it actually ends up being correct. And that's the same thing I do. Like I've had predictions that have been wrong too. It's part of the game. So
I want to be proven wrong. I really do, man. I just think that, as far as I trust my intellect, those are the logical conclusions that I've been able to arrive at.
I think you are clearly sincere in your beliefs. So I really appreciate the deep dive on it. It was fascinating. I have another show I have to hop on. So thank you so much for coming on. Rafael LaVerde from Crypto. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and just give us your plug so that people can follow you.
Yeah. Crypto Vigilante, cryptovigilante.io. It's the premier anarcho-capitalist newsletter on the planet for cryptocurrency and crypto assets. So yeah, thank you for having me on your show, Clint.
Oh, it was
great talking
awesome.
to you, man.
It was awesome. I love it when people come in on fire. So have a good one, brother.
All right, have a good one. Take care.
Big shout out to everybody that's been with me since Jump Street. Appreciate y'all.
Welcome to Liberty Lockdown. Please scan your barcode. Your liberty ain't gone, but yeah, it's on hold. Where did it come from and where did it go? It requires a fight, not tweeting from your phone. Don't need a king, get him off the fucking throne. If you're riding with the thought, you've always got a home. The virus you're scared of will come and it'll go. The government knows, just don't get treated like a hoe. Like Nico and Shane, you're probably wondering what's happening. Scared Hollywood lefties lyrical fappening. A typo with Luke might bring the nooses. We all bite the bullet, I'm the king of the gooses. Freckles and Brit didn't know I could spit. Knew I was a patriot, but now I'm the shit. Peter Quinones, invite me on. Which podcaster sends custom songs? Part of the problem, now I stand with the people. Dave showed the way, but I am unequal. Lions of Liberty, now hear me roar. Beat running out, but I got a bit more. Robbie the Fire, always running his mouth, but I made him a sandwich, now I'm man of the house. The malice for Nick, but you're welcome to quit. I went over BLM with the fire I spit. Friends against government just call us fags. Copied the Cairo, put mummies in the bag. Allowable opinions get thrown on the ground. Silky smooth Tom was the only sound. Getting so hot must be Air July. Screaming in the mic, you're Ripper 59. Miles to ratio that black guns matter. Now all these lefties got crazy small bladders. None of us wanted war, but we're ready. You know I be bopping and rock steady. Liberty Lockdown, please scan your barcode. Your liberty ain't gone, but yeah, it's on hold. Where did it come from and where did it go? It requires a fight, not tweeting from your phone. Don't need a king, get him off the fucking throne. If you're riding with the thought, you've always got a home. The virus you're scared of will come and it'll go. The government knows, just don't get treated like a hoe.